Tracy. I'm glad to see you've come back for a visit today. I've got a lot of work I need to do outside today, outside the kitchen, so I will not be canning or anything like that today. But I do want to use it as partial day of preserving something. So what I'm going to do is I picked my basil this morning. This is 2 small plants I had, and I really should have harvested before now, but circumstances dictated that I had to wait. So what I'm going to do, I've rinsed it twice in cold water. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through it and pick through the leaves that are decent and can be saved, which there's a lot that can't be. Because like I said, I waited too late to pick it. And then I'm going to go back through and cut the stems off of these leaves. Then I'm going to put them onto a paper towel, let them dry real good. Then I'm going to put them into the freezer. I'm wanting to make pesto, but I really don't have time right now. And so I'm going to freeze it, and then when I get a chance, I will make pesto later. I don't know how much I'll get, because a lot of these are really spotty looking. But any that I get is better than none. Every little bit counts. As you can see, it started to bloom. I want to see how bitter it is. Not bitter. Strong. Real strong flavor to it. I've never made pesto before, but I am big on Italian dishes. I thought it might be something to try. I don't know that I've ever had it either. I'm hoping that I like it. Now, I don't have pine nuts. They are not within my budget. So they say that you can use walnuts, and I do have some walnuts. And I've seen several different recipes for it, and the one I'm going to use says to use salt and lemon juice in it. So that's what I'm going to do. I figured the lemon juice will keep it from turning an icky color when I make it, but that'll be a little while before I make it. Like I said, this is going into the freezer for now, once I get the stems off of them. I'm hoping I have enough. I think the recipe calls for 2 packed cups. I had bought I bought a plant at Lowe's, and 2 of them came. When I planted it, I ended up with 2, which is great. I tried to start herbs myself. I'm not very good at starting from seed, and none of my herbs came up. They didn't even start to come up. So I don't know what I do wrong. I'm still researching. I'm still going to try and start my own seeds again in the spring. Especially after so many people had so much trouble with their seeds not being the right seed. Their plants not being the right plants that they bought. Now, I didn't experience that, but with one item, and it was sold to me as aroma, and I don't know what kind of, to be honest, I don't know what kind of tomato it was, and it did not taste good. And about as soon as they turned, they just pretty much rotted. So I'm not sure what they were, but I did not like them. I wish I knew what they were, so I'll make sure to steer clear of them again. I was really upset that I only actually got one Roma plant. I'd hoped to make some tomato paste this year and use Romas to do it, but I didn't get enough off the plant so far. Those are in the freezer too, to deal with later. I've done so many tomato products this year. I'm grateful to have them because I do eat a lot of them, but I'm kind of tired of them right now. I need to do something different. I decided not to can my banana peppers. Here's the reason why. I canned some last year, and I opened some up probably about 4 days ago, and they were the nastiest things. I don't know what I did wrong. So I'm just going to leave my banana peppers that I grew in the freezer and take them out and chop them up when I want to use them on my pizza or whatever. When I harvested my basil, I also harvested some more of my kidney beans this morning. And the ones from yesterday that I harvested, excuse me, are dry. And I'm going to shell them out today. And I've only harvested one small amount so far. Let me show you what I got out of them. That's how much I got out of my first harvest of them. I'm hoping to get several jars of them because I use them a lot in chili and really like them. Like the idea that I can grow them. Then I still got a lot to be put up. I still got my onions to be dehydrated, cleaned and dehydrated. I still got my potatoes. I don't know if I'm wanting to make dehydrated hash brown, grated hash browns, and diced to put into soups and stuff. And I don't know if I'll can any this year. They might all get dehydrated. I've been eating them fresh, you know. And I originally harvested 13 pounds, but I'm not going to have that to dehydrate because, like I said, I've been eating them here and there. So I'll go with whatever I have, and it's looking like I'm going to dehydrate those. Let's see, what else do I have yet to do? I still got a few more tomatoes to do. Still trying to decide what I want to do with them. I'll probably do some more diced tomatoes because I do go through a lot of those. A whole lot of those. And I've decided to freeze my green peppers whole and just take them out and cut them when I need them. I don't have that many left because I used them to make some stewed tomatoes and stuff like that, salsa. And so what little bit I have left, I will just freeze whole and take them out and use them as I need them, rather than getting to the whole dicing and chopping. And I don't need any dehydrated. I still have a few left, about probably a quart jar left over from last year. I dehydrated a lot last year because that's something else I use a whole lot of. But I don't need any more dehydrated, so I'm just going to go ahead and freeze them. That way, if I want something like stuffed green peppers or something like that, I can just take it out, thaw it, and fix it up. I prefer to can and dehydrate everything. I think I mentioned it in one of my other videos. I live very rural. I do not have any kind of backup system for when the electric goes off. And I live in fear of losing my stuff in my freezer. I'm wanting to clean my freezer out one day, probably maybe this evening or tomorrow. It's not really on my list for today, but I might get it done today. And there's a lot of stuff in there. It's in the bottom I haven't used. That's, I'm pretty sure, is probably freezer burned. And I need to get rid of it and make room. I don't think it's anything that I can dehydrate or can, but if possible, I will. I will not waste it unless I have to. I'm coming, let's see, I'm a little bit over halfway done. I know you're probably getting bored listening to me talk. So I'm going to speed this up and get these done, and then we'll bring you back whenever we get them ready to put onto the paper towels. So this is how much I got. Probably just enough for the recipe. So I'm going to lay this out on some paper towels and blot it dry, because it is still a little bit wet. Let me tilt you down so you can see what I'm doing. There's still some blossoms in here. Some bad ones that got picked. Quite a few bad ones. Huh. Thought I'd gone through it better than that, but I guess I hadn't. Don't want anything with a black spot on it. Good thing I'm laying them out to dry. And they do show up easily, so it's not like you have to go hunting for them. Okay. That out of the way. This is what I had left. I don't think my chickens can have that, so it'll go in my compost bin. Make it smell good, hopefully. Not that it smells bad, don't get me wrong. Okay, I'm going to let those dry a little bit, lay there and dry a little bit, and then I will bag them up. I'm going to put it all into one bag, since when I make it, I'm just going to use it all at once. I'm going to have to go through all of these and pick each individual one before I put it in the bag, because I'm finding that there are a lot of bad spots on them. I may only have enough to do half a batch, but that's okay. Like I said, I've never had it, so that will give me a good indication of whether or not I like it. Then next year I can accommodate for it. I would have had a whole lot more had I harvested it when I first thought of it. But it is what it is, and nothing I can do about that now. Just need to be more diligent next year. I don't think that my plants will grow anymore. They may. We are about a month and a half out from our frost date, and I have read that basil doesn't do well inside, so I have no plans to bring what's left of the plant out there in here. Now I do have a small one that I started, probably beginning of summer. I forget where I got it from. And it grows. It grows a little bit here and a little bit there, and I'll snip it and it'll grow back a little bit. But it's not growing with the same energy that it has in the past, so I figure its days are numbered. I did lose my 2 celery plants that I'd had for over a year in a pot on my windowsill. They'd finally done all they could do, and they ended up just dying on me. But I did get a lot of celery off of them. They were store-bought plants, and I just planted the root because I read somewhere you could, and it worked. Now, it didn't grow celery as big around as the store-bought stuff, but it gave me celery, which I could use, and that's all that mattered. In fact, that's what I used in my stewed tomatoes, was the last of it. Yeah, I'm only going to have about enough for maybe half a recipe, because I think I've about picked out all that can be used. Okay, so still got some moisture on it, but I'm going to go ahead and seal the bag up, get this put in the freezer, and then when I get a chance, I will make me some homemade pesto. My next little project today, before I head outside, which I'm kindly thinking maybe I won't now, because I did look on the weather and we got 100% humidity, and I am indoors and with the air conditioner set on 76, and I'm sweating like crazy. So I don't know, might have to go out for a few minutes, come back in. What I have to do is I have to trim. I have to tackle the grass, so it may be a several day process. But we're supposed to get rain tomorrow and the next day, and I wanted to get some of it cut, or else it will become what I call snaky, meaning we will start having snakes moving in. So I'm going to pull out yesterday's harvest of kidney beans. See what they look like? They dry out. You harvest them when they're starting to dry. You can hear them rattle around in the hole. And then you can shell them, and then they're ready to be used. Some people let them dry completely on the plant, but I didn't do that because we've been getting rain, and some of it's been molding. Some of them's been molding. I have been running into even the ones I've harvested having some mold in them. So I don't want to lose my kidney beans. So I just harvest them. I let them sit in front of a fan for a couple days, a day or two. With these, they were pretty much ready to harvest anyway, so it only took them 24 hours in front of a fan to dry enough. And then I pull them out, and then I need to get them canned up. I grew kidney beans. Here's the thing with the kidney beans. I grew them for the first time last year, just as on a lark. I mean, I thought, well, you know, people said they grow pinto beans, and people say they grow black beans, and of course you can grow different types of green beans. And I thought, well, I'll try growing my own kidney beans. So I went to the store and bought some dry beans in a bag. I think I bought them at Save-A-Lot. and I planted some, not many at all. Well, they came up and they did really well for no more than what I planted. So I would definitely grow more this year. So I devoted 3/4 of a 4x8 bed to them this year, so that I would have a good harvest and have them when I wanted them. And they've done well. They have done really well. I was afraid, last year the Japanese beetles really ate my leaves on them. This year they started to, but they didn't bother them too awfully much. And I was very grateful for that. So I still have a lot of green ones, and ones that what I call in between. They're not green, but then they're not ready to be, they're not really drying yet either. So again, the rain that we've been getting lately isn't helping that. It will slow down the drying process, so I have to stay on top of it to keep the mold from setting in. I picked some last night. Part of this is from yesterday morning and last night. Then I went out today after my chicken chores, and I picked a few more. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot, but I picked what I saw. And I'm happy with it. If I can get a canner load, which is 8 pints for me, out of it, then I will be happy. I will be very happy. Granted, that won't last me all winter, but it will help with my food budget. And I know what's on my, I know how my food was treated when it was grown. I do not use, the only thing I use fertilizer on is my potatoes. When I first plant them, I put triple 12 in between the rows. That's how my aunt taught me to do it. And she said that you'll have trouble growing your potatoes if you don't. So I do use fertilizer on those, but I don't use fertilizer on anything else. The only thing I use is I top dress with my own compost that I make here on the homestead, which my chickens, my flock, helps me make. So, and I know what I feed them, and I know, how healthy they are, and which brings to the point I'm treating for worms starting today for next week. I was cleaning the poop board this morning and found a worm, just the one worm, but it freaks me out. So, and the way I treat it, and the way I treated it, I've had them, this will be the 5th year I've had them. Every year when they start molting, which they are doing now, someone gets worms. And not a whole lot of worms, but I will see a worm on the poop board. So ever since I've had them, my method of worming is putting a clove of garlic in the water. They have 2 waters, one inside, one outside. So I put a clove of smashed garlic in each one, each day for a week when I change the water. It has helped. It in the past, when I do that, I don't see any more worm sign. And knock on wood, I have never found any in the eggs, but I'm really diligent about cracking my eggs into a bowl before I use them anyways. Because farm fresh eggs, things can happen, and where they're exposed to a rooster, things can happen. And it's better to be safe than sorry to go through all the process of fixing something just to have to throw it away. So I've always done that ever since I've had them. And so I'll have to be diligent. I did get 2 eggs this morning because they are cutting back on the egg laying. Again, they are molting, so they will cut back. And I did get 2 this morning, so when I crack them and use them, I'll have to make sure I check them first. But that's no big deal. Check them, and if I have to, I can throw them away. And that's why I prefer to use the garlic clove, because 1, it has worked, and 2, I don't have a withdrawal in the eggs. And it's getting hard to get any kind of medicine for your animals in now, since they enacted the new law where you have to have a prescription for this and a prescription for that. And I don't have a local vet that will give a prescription, and Chiggy's vet doesn't do farm animals, so he won't give a prescription. So, and with a prescription type medicine, you have an egg withdrawal. And I don't want to do that. I rely too much on the eggs. So I will just check them before I use them. And that will be good. Good with me. I'm going to finish pulling these out. And then I will bring you back and show you how many I've got in a bowl total between the two harvestings. I got all of these shelled out. These holes go out into my compost pile. And this is what my bowl of kidney beans is looking like now. Like I said, I harvested a few this morning that are in there drying. And now it will just be a process of harvesting one day, pulling the next. Harvesting one day, let them dry, pulling the next, until they're all done. The vines are dying back, so I don't expect it to be too much longer on them. And I figure I've probably already got about half of them here that are out there, so I should have a pretty good harvest this year. I'll be happy with it. I'd like to thank you for joining me today while I did these two little projects. I enjoyed having you here and keeping me company. And as always, from my home to yours, blessings.